Okay, I'm going to go through a couple of past paper questions for the GCSE Computer Science. This is paper 2, which is the practical programming, problem solving aspect of the course and therefore the examinations. Okay, starting off with the first question on this paper, which is looking at, really data checking. So the first question asking which term is an example of a verification check. So when we're checking data, we can do either a validation check to check whether the data is valid, or a verification check, which is to check whether or not the data is the same as the original data. Okay, double entry is where the data is entered 2 times, it's compared. If they match, it's accepted as being correct. If they don't match, then obviously in one of the 2 versions there's an error. A format check, B, is checking whether the data matches a specific format that's specified. Now this is checking whether the data is valid. It doesn't necessarily verify that the data is correct. C, the length check, also checks that the data matches a specific criteria. It's valid. So that's a validation check. D is a presence check. It checks whether the data is there. It doesn't check whether the data is correct. So the only one here that verifies that the data is correct, it matches the original data, is A, the double entry check. So I'll just tick that here. And we move on. Question 2. Tick one box to show which library routine returns the remainder of a division. Okay, so I'm going to work backwards here because D, round, well, rounding modifies a number, rounding it down by a specified number of decimal places down to maybe an integer. So it rounds a number. Random generates a random number, usually between a specific range. So neither of those match what we're looking for. Mod returns what remains after a division has been and a division operation has taken place. So that's the one that we're looking for. It certainly looks like. The other option, A, div, returns the quotient of a division operation. The quotient is the whole number part of the result of any division. So the answer we're looking for here is B, which is mod. Okay, so moving on to the next question. Here we've got 4 pseudocode descriptions and 5 pseudocode keywords, and we have to match the description to the matching keyword. Okay, so first of all, storing data in a file. Output, write, read, open, input. Well, storing data to a file requires us to write to memory, so the correct answer here would be write. Retrieves data from the file. Well, this is the opposite really of writing, and in this case it would be read. Okay, displays data on the screen. Now, because I'm a Python kind of a guy, I instinctively look down this list for print, but of course it's not an option available to us. Of the 3 remaining, we've got output, open, input. Clearly, of what remains, we've got output. And then finally, enters data from the keyboard. Well, that's clearly of what we've got. We've got open and input. We're describing input. Keyboard being an input device. We've got a bit of a clue there. And so there we have our answers. And finally, the second part of this question, give 2 reasons for storing data in a file. Okay, so this is talking about storing data from the volatile memory that you've got as the program is executing into permanent secondary storage. Okay, so reasons we might do that. Well, first of all, we need to back up our data. We want permanent storage. So I'm going to put backup our data. Backup data. Okay, but identifying that some kind of permanent storage, and also, with your program, you also might want to move between programs or even between machines. So I'm going to put that as my second reason, is to move the data from one machine to another. Okay, and then we're going to go on to this question here. And this is the last question I'm going to do in this video, so it's not too long, as I want them to be manageable. Okay, a programmer is writing a data entry program for booking theatre seats. The programmer needs the program to accept only whole numbers that are greater than or equal to 1 and less than or equal to 6. Okay, give the name to validation checks that are required for this program. So the validation checks check that the data is valid, and we're told that we've got two sets of criteria here. We want a whole number, okay, and we want it to be between two values. We want it to be between 0 and 7, but equal to or greater than 1, and equal to or less than 6. So we're describing here a type, because we want it to be a whole number. So we've got a type check, and within a specified range. So the range check. Okay. This is part B now. Complete the pseudocode to perform your two validation checks using your answers given in A. So, okay, so we need to write pseudocode for our type check and range check. Okay, so first of all, we've got output, which is the message outputs to the user by our program. Please enter the number of the seats you want to book. Input seats. So our variable here takes the identifier seats. Okay, so the first thing we need to do, really, we need to put this inside a loop, because we need to keep going until the data input is correct. So if the data is incorrect, we want to loop back around and check again. So we're checking the data, then we're doing something, and then we're coming back around if it's incorrect. So we're doing a precondition loop. Precondition loop would be a while. So I'm going to start that with while. Okay, and I want to say, right, while seats, I'll do the type check first. So we want to, while seats, in this one, I need to check that it's a whole number. So what I'm going to say is, while seats is not equal to, and here I've got a couple of options. I suppose the most correct would be rounding the number down. I suppose I could force it using a built-in routine to change it to an integer. So you could probably get away with int seats. I'm going to do round, because to my mind that sounds better. Okay, and I want it to know decimal places, because I'm rounding right down to an integer. As I say, I think you could certainly have that as int seats, forcing the integer seats. So what we're saying is, whilst the number input as seats is not a whole number, and then I'm going to add on or to this condition, because I now need to check if it is a whole number, is it within the correct range? While seats is so if it's not a whole number, or seats is, let me think, less than 1, or I've missed it. Missed the identifier. That's quite important. Okay, seats is less than 1, or seats is greater than 6, do. So now I need to give a message to, so basically I'm saying that the number is incorrect, so what do I need to do? Well, I need to output a message. Output, okay, I'll follow the, please enter. Enter a valid number. Okay. And then I'm going to get I need to get the user's input again, input seats. And then end while. I think that's it. Okay, end while. Now these are keywords in pseudocode, so we capitalize them. Okay, so I've got while, my condition. So while if seats is not a whole number or it's not within the range, then I output the error message or the correction message. They input seats again, end the while, and we are done. Okay, on to C. Give one type of test data. Test data, we've got normal, abnormal, extreme data. I'm going to go with abnormal. So test data, let's say I input 7. Okay, which is outside of the range. It's abnormal though. It's abnormal data. So it should be rejected. Okay. Okay, now this is just a few of the questions from this past paper. I will do some more in another video, but for the time being I think that's probably enough for now. Okay, hope that's been useful.